Story begins with a mysterious figure preparing omelets for someone. The scene then shifts to another room, where a girl named Saku is peacefully asleep when her alarm clock starts ringing. Saku refuses to get up from her slumber because she doesn't want to go to work and would love a day off. However, she soon realizes that she has bills to pay and reluctantly gets out of bed. But, as fate would have it, she stumbles and falls to the ground. Saku quickly gets herself ready and rushes to the train station, only to find the train packed with passengers, making her commute quite uncomfortable. After enduring the cramped train ride, she finally arrives at her office. Moments later, we meet Yuri, a coworker with pink hair who approaches Saku and asks what she wants for lunch. Saku becomes unexpectedly nervous and tries to hide her computer screen. Yuri becomes suspicious and presses Saku to reveal what she's been doing. She speculates if Saku is browsing dating websites because she assumes Saku is still a virgin. However, Yuri is surprised to discover that Saku is actually searching for cat videos, a habit often associated with lonely individuals. Yuri then asks if Saku is a fan of cats, to which Saku enthusiastically responds that she loves them. Even while at work, she dreams of having a cat due to their fluffy coats and adorable faces. Their conversation is interrupted by another colleague who calls Yuri into the boss's office. Once Yuri leaves, Saku feels relieved and prepares for lunch. She opens her lunchbox and admires her meal, considering it quite impressive. After work, Saku returns home and calls out, "Here kitty, kitty." As she enters the room, she encounters a large grumpy-looking cat named Yukichi. She scolds her for being late from work and shows the dinner she has prepared, which is now getting cold. Saku apologizes to Yukichi for her thoughtlessness. To unwind, Saku enjoys a beer and falls asleep. However, Yukichi drags her to the bathroom and showers her with cold water. She also checks Saku's lunchbox and is pleased to see that Saku ate everything. After the chilly shower and some persistent requests from Saku, Yukichi finally relents and prepares dumplings for her. Saku can't resist the delicious food and requests beer to accompany it, which she consumes along with all the dumplings before going to bed. The next day, Yukichi starts her day by making breakfast and watching her favorite TV show. She notices it's time to wake her mistress, so she tries gently at first but resorts to sitting on Saku's face when the gentle approach fails. Saku gets ready for work but becomes upset, throwing a tantrum because she wants to stay home with Yukichi. After drying Saku's tears, Yukichi gives her a hug and locks her outside, forcing her to go to the office. Yukichi then proceeds with her caretaker duties, including drying the sheets and taking a cat nap on the wall, as she is a cat after all. After finishing all the household chores, she watches a cooking channel and learns a new recipe for Saku. While preparing dinner, Yukichi receives a call from Saku, who explains that she has urgent work to do and will stay late at the office, so Yukichi doesn't have to make dinner. This news upsets Yukichi as she takes pride in her cooking. Yukichi calls Saku, clicks her tongue in disappointment, and ends the call. Intimidated by this, Saku works diligently and rushes home. Before leaving the office, Yuri gives Saku a cat house for Yukichi, but due to Yukichi's enormous size, she uses it as a helmet instead. The next day, Saku graciously hands Yuri some homemade sweets from Yukichi as a token of her appreciation. Upon seeing the gift, her coworkers showers Saku with compliments, recognizing her culinary talent. Saku, unsure of how to respond, claims responsibility for the treats and tries to deflect the praise. Deep inside, she feels guilty for deceiving her colleague and begins muttering to herself. Unexpectedly, a guy named Onizuka arrives and inquires about her mumblings. Saku attempts to explain but is interrupted by a call from the manager, prompting Onizuka to depart. Before leaving, Onizuka casually mentions that he has often seen her cat, leaving Saku bewildered about the connection. Upon returning home that evening, Saku ponders Onizuka's knowledge of Yukichi. As she enters her home, she finds Yukichi standing in the hallway with a delectable dinner. The enticing aroma makes Saku forget about the Onizuka incident, and she eagerly prepares to enjoy her meal. After finishing her first serving, she requests seconds, but Yukichi, concerned about Saku's weight, weights her on a scale before granting the extra portion. The following day, Saku arrives home exhausted and collapses in the hallway, falling asleep. It is then that Yukichi recounts the time Saku had rescued her from a snowstorm, taking her in and making her a permanent house guest, despite her initially messy room and reluctance. The flashback concludes as Yukichi tucks Saku into bed. The next day, Saku browses her phone and admires baby Yukichi. She can't help but question Yukichi's oversized, bear-like appearance and her unusual habits of performing household chores and cooking for her. Baffled by this inquiry, Yukichi responds that she doesn't know why she is so large and simply appreciates being well cared for. Saku expresses her gratitude to Yukichi for her kindness. Later, Saku recalls Onizuka's mention of having seen Yukichi before, leading her to speculate whether her chaotic room has somehow transformed Yukichi into a giant cat. Frustrated by this notion, Yukichi gives Saku a light smack and offers her a beer to calm down. The two share lunch and then Yukichi heads out to buy groceries, wearing a cute apron. At the mall, customers can't help but stare at Yukichi, a cat shopping for cucumbers and cabbage. A part-time worker named Ryo recognizes her and informs the manager, who greets Yukichi warmly as a valued customer. Yukichi's soft paw pads distract the manager from questioning her true nature. At the checkout, Ryo informs Yukichi about free churu stick samples for customers purchasing canned cat food. Intrigued, Yukichi decides to buy the cat food and thanks Ryo for her help. Back at the office, Saku diligently works through the weekend to complete her reports. The manager praises her for being an exceptional employee. As they converse, Onizuka arrives from Kyoto, and Saku and Onizuka coincidentally enter the elevator together. During their conversation, Onizuka compliments Saku for her accomplishments in the company, and hints that Yukichi might be a contributing factor. Confused about how Onizuka knows about Yukichi, Saku questions whether he has ever been to her place. Onizuka reminds her of a time when she was drunk at a pub and got kicked out, and he had taken her to her apartment, where little Yukichi opened the door for them. After smacking Saku for her drunken behavior, Onizuka leaves, leaving Saku to wonder if he had seen her messy apartment. Ignoring her embarrassment, Saku asks Onizuka to keep Yukichi's secret, and he agrees, suggesting they meet at the aquarium the following Sunday. Saku informs Yukichi about the aquarium date, and reveals they will also attend an idol concert, shocking Yukichi, as it is her favorite band. Yukichi asks Saku to buy her some band merchandise. The next day, Saku is wearing an apron and holding a fire extinguisher. He approaches Yukichi and asks her to teach her how to cook, giving her a determined look. Although Yukichi feels uneasy about Saku's request, Saku guilt trips her into agreeing, citing her previous lie to her colleagues about preparing her own lunches. Yukichi agrees to be her cooking instructor and instructs her to make a simple egg and rice dish, as she has already prepared the rice. All Saku needs to do is crack an egg over it. However, she fumbles and accidentally adds tiny eggshells to the mix. Yukichi, with her cooking skills, quickly removes the eggshells. Things take a turn for the worse when she pours an entire pack of soy sauce on the dish. She then glances at a cookbook, realizing its existence, as Yukichi has never used it before. Yukichi hides, embarrassed, as she used that book when she was a kitten. Saku compliments the extraordinary dishes from the cookbook and expresses a desire to try one again. In response, Yukichi makes rice balls for Saku. The next morning, Yukichi's cooking misfortune continues as her omelet breaks, and Saku accidentally steps on Yukichi's tail, causing her immense pain. To soothe herself, Yukichi indulges in some tasty cat treats while watching TV. She notices Saku on television, praising her kind-hearted nature. Yukichi becomes excited and prepares a feast for her, complete with premium beer. The following day, Saku wakes up with a fever, so Yukichi insists that Saku stay in bed and call in sick to work. After taking her medicine, Yukichi tucks Saku in and handles other household chores. Saku sleeps the entire day, even though she only took a half-day leave. Yukichi wakes Saku up because today is the day she is going to the idol show with Onizuka. Yukichi makes pink rice for her, as it's her first time going on a date. While getting ready, Saku realizes her dress doesn't fit because she has gained some weight. Resourceful as always, Yukichi sews her a new dress. Before leaving, Yukichi prepares a basket of fruits and sandwiches for her date. But Saku is not pleased and asks her to refrigerate them for later. At the Inoshima station, Saku is surprised to see that Onizuka has brought along his niece, Mei. Onizuka explains that he's not good with children and asks Yukichi to accompany them. Saku feels betrayed but eventually warms up to Mei after seeing her cute face. Inside the aquarium, Mei asks Saku if she likes cats, to which she responds that she loves them and has a big black cat at home. Mei points to a pillar and mentions a cat, leading Saku to spot Yukichi spying on them. Saku worries about Yukichi being seen by others, as it could cause problems. Onizuka meets Saku and Mei at the aquarium, and Yukichi mysteriously disappears. They head to the concert room and wait for the show. Mei expresses her desire to watch the show with Yukichi, but Onizuka forbids it. During the performance, Saku anxiously looks around for Yukichi and overhears two girls mentioning a giant cat. She spots Yukichi enjoying the show and tells her to leave, but Yukichi remains unfazed and gives her a thumbs up. After the performance, there's a quiz to distribute limited edition merchandise. Onizuka answers all the questions correctly, winning a limited edition slug figure. Saku praises Onizuka for being a great uncle. However, Mei goes missing and they start searching for her. They find Mei holding a basket and learn that Yukichi gave it to her for them to share. Mei expresses a desire to go on a trip with Yukichi in the future, but Saku brushes it off, saying she'll ask Yukichi later. They have lunch and return home. Upon arriving home, Saku finds Yukichi collapsed on the floor, not dead but completely drained. Saku covers her with a blanket, pets her head, and tells her to rest. The next morning, Yukichi wakes up to find the house in disarray as Saku attempts to restore order. Yukichi becomes frustrated, but Saku apologizes with some limited edition chips she received from the show. Yukichi turns on her favorite TV show and starts dancing to the music. Saku secretly records her antics. When Yukichi notices, she tries to get Saku to delete the video, but Saku refuses and rushes to her office. Back at the supermarket, the manager asks Ryo to bring Yukichi back to work, as her presence increases their sales. They even put up a hiring poster outside, hoping to catch her attention if she ever walks by. Elsewhere in Saku's office, the girls strike up a conversation with Saku, inquiring whether her cat gets regular exercise. They also emphasize the benefits of exercise for keeping her cat active and healthy. Saku ponders the question and realizes that she's already quite active due to her household chores. After a long day at the office, Saku returns home, where Yukichi treats her to a soothing body massage to relieve her pain. Noticing Yukichi's oversized gloves, Saku curiously asks why they're so large since there aren't any cat-sized gloves available in the market. Yukichi reveals that she makes her own gloves, which surprises Saku. A few days have passed and Saku comes home after a tiring shift. As she enters the house, Yukichi suddenly grabs a knife and a pan and begins hissing at her. Confused, Saku recalls that she had petted a cute dog on her way home. Perplexed by Yukichi's behavior, she consults Yuri, who explains that cats often become jealous when their owners interact with other animals while they're away. Yuri reassures Saku that Yukichi will return to her usual self. The following morning, Yukichi wakes Saku up and gets her ready for work. After hastily feeding her, Yukichi sends her off to the office. At the office, Saku receives compliments from her coworkers about her exemplary work. Unexpectedly, Onizuka arrives and asks if she has a moment to spare. Startled by his sudden appearance, Saku apologizes for not having completed her work and promises to send the customer's report soon. However, Onizuka has different news. He hands her a letter from Mei, informing her that it's her birthday, and she's invited to celebrate. He also extends an invitation to Yukichi since Mei wants to see her again. Back at home, Saku gives Yukichi the invitation, but she initially hesitates to attend the party, fearing she might be caught if something goes wrong. However, after reading the invitation, reveals it's a costume party, Saku decides it's okay for Yukichi to join. Yukichi enthusiastically starts crafting a costume for Saku, and even creates a miniature doll of herself for Mei. Saku is delighted with the doll and asks Yukichi to make another one. While they talk, Yukichi completes the costume and Saku tries it on and it fits perfectly. Yukichi also prepares mini burgers for the party, and together in their costumes they head to Mei's house. To their surprise, Mei happens to live in their neighborhood. As they enter Mei's house, Mei greets them from the first floor and the party gets underway. Saku is nervous, but Yukichi remains confident. During the party, some guests begin discussing Yukichi's feline appearance, as they've seen her in various places. However, the mood changes when they notice the zipper on Yukichi's back, revealing it's just a costume. Saku meets Mei's mother, who happens to be Onizuka's older sister. Saku is taken aback when she realizes that Mei's mother appears older than her, creating a mysterious age gap. While Saku and Mei's mother chat, Mei and Yukichi go to the first floor to meet Mei's grandmother, who is in a wheelchair. They shake hands and the grandmother expresses how lucky Saku must be to have Yukichi as her companion. She also reminisces about her own beloved cat, who passed away a long time ago. Soon after, Saku enters the room and apologizes for Yukichi, telling her that she is not dangerous. Grandmother tells Saku that she is super lucky to have an Anko cat. These cats are also known as black cats, but they bring good luck to their owners and love them very much. After that, they cut the cake and Yukichi shares the homemade burger with the other party members. After giving Mei her gift, Saku and Yukichi leave while Mei's mother holds her crying girl. On their way back, Saku praises Yukichi for using a zipper to hide her identity. They sit on a bench where Saku first met Yukichi and decided to adopt her. They look at the bench for a few moments and go home. Elsewhere, Onizuka gets the photos of the party and praises Saku for being able to attend the party in such a short period. He sees Yukichi and finds it scary because she's a really realistic cat. Regardless, he decides to get a souvenir for Saku on his way. A few days later, Yukichi is waiting for Saku to arrive since it's past 12 already and she is never this late. Worried, Yukichi gets a call from Saku that she is in the park and wants to sleep there. Pissed off by her attitude, Yukichi takes an iron pan and rushes to the park, saying that she will really kill her this time. When she arrives at the park, a drunk Saku is sitting on the bench. Yukichi gets ready to hit her, but Saku requests food from Yukichi since she is starving. Hearing this, she forgives her and carries her home. The next morning, winter arrives and Saku tells Yukichi to bring out the kotsu. But Yukichi gives her an angry reminder about what happened last time when she fell asleep while her kotsu short-circuited. Remembering the incident, Saku feels guilty and tries to convince Yukichi to buy a new kotsu. But her tricks don't work, and Yukichi shrugs her off. This leaves her no choice but to buy the kotsu online. Yukichi sees her and takes her phone, prompting her to throw it in hot water. Saku begs her and gets her phone back. This leaves Saku no choice but to bribe Yukichi with cat food. She asks Yukichi for groceries, but she is already gone to buy them. At the market, Yukichi buys the usual stuff and goes outside and notices a winter lucky draw happening for the price of a kotsu. Yukichi tries to do it and wins a pack of tissues. But with nothing to gain from that lucky draw, Yukichi goes home. When she arrives home, Yukichi sees that Saku is nowhere to be seen and thinks that she might attempt to hang herself because of the kotsu. She rushes outside to find her but smashes the door on her face. Seeing Saku in perfect shape, she hugs her and starts crying. As she looks outside, she notices that Saku had brought a new kotsu home. Saku assures her that she didn't buy it but she got it from a lucky draw, the same one that Yukichi participated in and got the tissues from. They set it up, and Saku tells Yukichi to sit first and brings out different types of cat food on the table for her to enjoy. In response, Yukichi gets up and brings beer for Saku, and they enjoy their hot cozy kotsu. After a few minutes, Yukichi dozes off and Saku gets another chance to take pictures of Yukichi this close. The next day, Saku goes up to Yukichi and begs her to play with her, and she knocks her out with a headlock. When returning from work, Saku picks up some fussy plants for Yukichi to play with. But when she arrives home and gives her the present, she takes out a pot and plants them. After a few days, the cat food delivery guy arrives and drops off a parcel. When Saku returns from work, she notices a ton of cat food delivered by her mom for Yukichi. She receives a text from her mom saying that she needs to see a photo of Yukichi to make sure she is healthy and fit. After giving the photo multiple tries, Saku couldn't find an image where Yukichi is a regular-sized cat. Feeling troubled, Saku wears the gloves and asks Yukichi to come near her. She takes out some of her shedded hair and makes a little fur cat out of it. But her efforts become useless as her mom tells her that this is not Yukichi. She also mentions that she is going to come home to see her if she doesn't get a picture in under 5 minutes. Since Saku didn't let her know that Yukichi is now the size of a bear, she gets scared and tries to find ways to create an iconic yet realistic looking photo for her. While Saku is figuring out something, Saku's mom is shown. She then sends the photo where Yukichi is playing with the plants she got from her in the background. Her mom successfully gets fooled by this, and she sighs with relief. Seeing how cute Yukichi looks in this photo, Saku decides to share it with Yuri and the others. After a few days, Saku receives a text from her mom saying that she has sent her something very useful. After reaching home, she sees that the parcel has already been opened by Yukichi, and it's a blade sharpening stone. Seeing this, Yukichi gets really excited and smiles. Saku calls her mother to thank her for the gift and she mentions that she wants to hear Yukichi's meowing. But Yukichi never meows for her. However, when she is nodding off, she records the sound and sends it to her mother. The next day, Yukichi gets ready to sharpen her blade. Saku then asks her how she sharpened her blades before, as they didn't have any stones. Yukichi then shows the bottom of a bowl and explains that she used that. Saku, seeing Yukichi so happy over a stone, makes her think that she should have gotten her one a long time ago. She then takes a bath. When she returns, she sees Yukichi releasing a dark aura from her. After that, she prepares a delicious meal for Saku with her freshly sharpened knife. The next day, Saku and her colleague take a break. They sit on a bench and think about yummy food and their stomachs start to growl. Saku opens her lunchbox filled with Yukichi's homemade cooking. Other girls get jealous seeing that Saku can cook really well and think she would make a great wife if she keeps doing these activities. Saku's reaction is blank and she replies that she never thought of that since she has Yukichi to do all her work for her. She worries that if she gets married, Yukichi will leave her for another man since he will make more money. She rushes home to ask if she will leave her if someone with more money approaches her. Yukichi gives a thumbs up, indicating that she will. Saku then tells her to at least think it over. After careful thinking, Yukichi says yes once again. Seeing Yukichi's response, Saku decides that she will resume her studies to get a better paycheck. But Yukichi tells her that it's night and she needs to get her sleep. Saku tells Yukichi in a bad mood that she is going to sleep only today and will stay up all night studying from tomorrow. The next day, Yukichi and Saku are watching a horror show. Saku gets terrified and follows Yukichi everywhere because she is afraid. Her bath is ready and Yukichi tells her that she doesn't want to take a bath, but Yukichi gives her a duck to use as a protector. While she is taking her bath, she thinks about how Yukichi will react if she tells her that she is afraid of a samurai. She is thinking that she will lose her respect if she tells her about her fear. But she is mistaken that Yukichi even respects her in the first place. She looks at the door and finds a mysterious figure on it, causing her to scream out loud. She gets terrified and goes outside where Yukichi is waiting with a hairdryer. She dries her hair and offers her a beer, but she drinks it and feels even colder. After that, Saku asks Yukichi to let her sleep with her since she is too scared to sleep alone. At night, Yukichi gets up and Saku gets terrified by her movement. Saku goes after her and sees Yukichi drinking from the sink like a monster while emitting a dark aura. Saku sees her and Yukichi makes her promise to never tell anyone about this moment, and she will do the same. Saku agrees and tells her that it's her home and she can do as she pleases in the house. Hearing this, Yukichi brings out coffee for her to say thank you. Saku was looking at a cat caretaker page on social media because she wanted to learn more about this. She also mentions that Orozuka asked about Yukichi yesterday at the office, which made her think about how a girl living in a dumpster could take care of a cat and keep her healthy. Yukichi then gets up when she asks her to act like a cat. She grabs a scratching post, but starts playing it like a guitar. In the next test, she puts glasses on the floor and tells her to walk past them. But she walks over them using only 2 legs and fails this test as well. After failing all the tests, Saku mentions that Yukichi only has 1 test, and that is for being the cutest cat in the world. Hearing her compliment, she gets embarrassed and brings a massive feast for Saku along with premium beer. She keeps praising her and Yukichi keeps bringing food for her. But a tragic accident happened the very next day. Saku gets ready for work, and as she is going out, she spills coffee on the wall, leaving a big brown stain on the wallpaper. Yukichi is behind her with murder in her eyes. But knowing how clumsy Saku is, Yukichi anticipates this and tears out the wallpaper and replaces it with a new one. Saku is in a hurry, so she leaves. After Yukichi changes one wallpaper, she decides to change the wallpaper in the whole house. After countless hours of hard work, she finally finishes it. But the tables don't match with the given wallpaper, so she wears her industrial clothes and starts drilling. After a few moments, she makes a new table for the room. When Saku comes back, she is shocked to see this and a new table that was rebuilt by Yukichi, telling her that she is a master in disguise. She enjoys the new view of the room and starts eating. At that moment, Yukichi shares her thoughts and explains that she did it so her dark and empty soul could regain her consciousness and move on. This evening, Yukichi is going on her daily work errand, where in the park she notices something shaking in the box. As she goes to look inside it, she finds Mei inside. Thinking that she might be dead, Yukichi shakes her and feels relieved to see that she is alive. She asks her what she is doing here and she tells her that she is looking for a new home. Seeing her reaction, Mei shows her a little kitten. Mei tells her that she can't keep it since her grandmother and mother don't allow animals in our house, so she retaliates and runs away. Yukichi forces her to go home, but she doesn't move and growls at her. Seeing his reaction, Yukichi sits with them to keep them safe. After a while, the kitten gets hungry, and Mei asks her to give her milk. But it turns out that Yukichi is a male cat and just likes to do girly stuff. She goes to the supermarket and buys milk for her. After the kitten is fed, Yukichi notices that it has started to rain. So she takes her to an old lady's place that might be interested in adopting her kitten. She texts her friends and finds out that her friend's grandson would love to adopt the kitten. They hand over the kitten to the old lady and leave. Along the way, Mei gets depressed and asks Yukichi if the kitten will remember her after a while. She starts crying while remembering the kitten. Yukichi doesn't know what to do, but surprisingly, Mei's mother arrives there looking for her. She thanks Yukichi for helping Mei's kitten. While they are leaving, Mei tells Yukichi that she would love to spend time with her in the park again sometime. But Yukichi tells her that this will never happen again. On the other side, the old lady wonders if this kitten will also grow up to be as big as Yukichi. The next day, Yukichi finds a wanted poster on their neighborhood's billboard. The person described on the paper tends to only target girls with black hair. The old lady tells Yukichi to be careful and protect Saku as well. Yukichi is terrified by this news because he is a male cat with black fur and a dark soul. So, to protect Saku, he goes to the supermarket and purchases a buzzer, pepper spray, and leaves. After reaching home, he waits for Saku to come home safely. It's near midnight and Saku hasn't come home yet. He waits for a while and then goes outside with a frying pan in his hand, just in case. He goes to the park and hears a girl screaming. It's Rei, the girl from the supermarket earlier. She is fighting with her boyfriend who just recently broke up. Her boyfriend forces her to start a relationship with her again, but she yells for someone to help her. Out of nowhere, Yukichi arrives from the bushes and stops them. He stands in between them to stop Rei from getting assaulted. Her boyfriend attacks Yukichi to get him out of his way, but Saku arrives and protects Yukichi by throwing him away with her badass moves. Yukichi is astonished by how Saku, a skinny helpless girl with a trashy personality, became so badass. She pins him down and starts recording. Accidentally, he tells Saku that he will kill her. This makes Saku gain the required evidence she needed for him to go to prison. She threatens him to never come here again or near this girl, or else he will send her to prison. Seeing her dark and creepy face, he runs away. After that, she turns around and converts back to her childish self. Rei thanks Saku for saving her and protecting her from the toxic boyfriend. They hear the ambulance, and Saku afraid that Yukichi will get arrested for being a creeper. So she takes him home and tells Rei to go home safe and sound. He froze in a cat-like state and was dragged by Saku. After they reach home, Yukichi thanks her and offers to cook her a feast as a thank you gift. The next day, Rei tells his manager that she has found out the name of the cat that comes to the supermarket. Intrigued, the manager asks for her name, but Rei leaves and tells her that she will keep it a secret. At home, Yukichi gets in a serious mood and tells us that he is not an ordinary cat, but a stray cat who was adopted by a corporate girl with a trashy apartment. That day when he was adopted, Saku saves her from an avalanche of boxes by using her body. Saku goes and gets cat food for Yukichi and he falls asleep. That day, Yukichi takes the vow to repay her kindness one day. When Saku wakes up, she gets ready for the office. She notices that Saku is afraid of cockroaches and helps her dispose of it. When she leaves for work, Yukichi gets a grin on her face and starts getting back to work as a caretaker. The backstory ends and we see Yukichi cleaning the floor. He gets a call from Saku, and she tells her that she won't need dinner since she is having an office party at a restaurant or completing the assignment in such a short period. They have a lot of fun at the party and Saku drinks a lot. After the party ends, Onizuka calls it a night, and they start leaving. Saku also calls it a day and goes home. When she reaches her apartment, she falls on the floor headfirst and Yukichi drags her to the living room. He gives her miso soup to fill her stomach and gets her ready for a shower. Yukichi stands in front of the shower in standby mode if she trips and falls. After the shower, he gives her hangover medicine and lets her go to bed. The next morning, Saku woke up and Yukichi had already prepared clam rice for her to start the day with good energy. At the office, Yuri looks shocked to see Saku in such a productive mood while the older employees are still hungover. Saku gives Yuri some hangover candy and tells her to rest for a bit. Yuri also compliments her for having such a strong liver to not have a hangover this early in the morning. Saku keeps quiet about what Yukichi did for her to stop the hangover and resumes her day. After work, Saku comes home and hugs Yukichi. She sniffs her fur and judges exactly what she had done all day, including making bread. Yukichi feels uncomfortable to see that Saku can guess what he does all day just by sniffing her fur. In the evening, Granny knocks at Yukichi's door. When he opens the gate, Granny tells him that they are holding a volunteer event to clean the park and gives him the documents. She leaves by saying that Yukichi had grown a bit again, causing him to get embarrassed. He looks through the documents and accepts the job. He goes to the park and starts cleaning. His speed and techniques are unmatched by the old people helping in the park. They compliment Yukichi for his skills and invite him to play gate ball with them. After playing for a while, Yukichi gains their respect and leaves since the job is complete. They give a gate ball stick to Yukichi Saku, who is really confused about it and thinks it's cleaning equipment of sorts. The next day when Yukichi is hanging up the sheets, he encounters a cat and steps on its tail. It is the granny's cat that Mei gave to her a while back. Yukichi doesn't remember who the cat is, and Granny tells her to think back in her memory and remembers who she is now. But Dai-chan remembers her and hugs her tightly. The old lady has to go on an errand, so she tells Yukichi to take care of Dai-chan. He tries to remove him, but Dai doesn't let go of him, which leaves him no option but to agree. They play for a while and Yukichi remembers that he has stuff to do. but she couldn't do this because of Dai, who kept hugging him and playing with him. Eventually, Yukichi gives in, and they both fall asleep together. Back home, Saku arrives from work and gives Yukichi a hug. But this time, Yukichi doesn't get upset and pets her back since she remembers Dai-chan's face and smiles. This makes Saku feel even more confused about this but ignores it and enjoys the moment. On the other side, Dai-chan tries to walk on 2 legs and is partially successful. The next day at the office, Yuri and Oshiro run into each other and start talking about Saku, and how she was when she first came into the office. Yuri, knowing that Oshiro is a senior and must know more about Saku, gets serious and asks for details. Oshiro tells Yuri that Saku used to be a mistake and apologized for everything. But she suddenly changed. Yuri gets even more intrigued by this and asks for more. Oshiro tells her that she once saw Saku bringing homemade rice balls to lunch. Even though they looked ugly, she loved eating them. After that day, she started growing even more proactive at work and became the big shot employee she is now. Oshiro tells her that it might be because of the rice balls she ate, and mentioned that it might contain drugs. But Yuri rejects her accusation and tells her she is not on drugs, but she is lazy. She also mentions the time she caught a thief that was trying to steal in the train just by using her one hand. Oshiro is shocked to hear that and tells her that she is really a nice person and they both admire her. But they don't know the true Saku, who is only productive because Yukichi forces her. Back at home, Saku is scolded by Yukichi for throwing trash on the floor. Like this video and subscribe to Annie Summary for more anime recap.